I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school. When I went to school in Toledo, I was in 2nd grade, and I started hearing things from the seniors that some senior boy had taken a shit and drawn a swastika on the wall, and the incident was named Shitler. I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school.
When I was in 5th grade, we were going on a field trip to, like, Roscoe or some shit like that, like the museum. And, I forged my grandma's signature on the paper so that I could go, and they bought it.
I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school. In 8th grade, a kid brought weed into the U.S. Senate building when they were on the D.C. trip, and later that kid got blazed as fuck at the hotel. And the only reason they didn't figure out that it was weed was because he had taken a fat shit prior. I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school.
A kid from my school got expelled because he brought a bong in his backpack and tried to hit it in the middle of class.
I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school. Last year during homecoming, there was a grind circle, as per usual, and 2 kids went at it too hard, and the dude ended up jizzing, and he jizzed so fucking hard that there was a stain on his pants and on the back of her dress.
That's disgusting.
I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school.
Trying to think of one. In 8th grade, the plumbing in the building had fucked up, and the pipes were leaking, and I went down to the choir room, and the choir room was flooded, and the chairs were stacked up in a big pile. And instead of getting them all down for choir practice, we just stood around them and did choir practice like that.
I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school. In, the 7th grade, some kid took a peanut butter and jelly and pulled the bread apart and then proceeded to throw the peanut butter half onto the ceiling, and it stuck there for a good 2 hours before anyone noticed. I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school.
One time, a friend of mine came into school really fucking high, and, like, you could tell, just by looking him in the eyes, that he was fucked up. And, one of the teachers stopped him and asked him if he was okay, and he just looked at her and just went, "What's okay?" And I just remember making eye contact with him after that and just going,
I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school. During the DC trip, the kids who didn't go got to visit the planetarium on the inside of the school, and some kid tried to jack off in the back of the planetarium while we were watching a presentation. He ended up getting caught, but not before he jizzed. I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school.
At one point, the boys were not allowed to go to the bathroom by themselves because at one point, some boys went in there and just dumped milk all over the place. There was just milk everywhere in the bathroom. Milk was all over the place, paper towels were all over the place. It was a mess, but there was, like, milk all over the floor, the walls, and the mirrors. And I remember my teacher coming in and being like, some boys decided to vandalize the boys' bathroom, and in my head I was like, oh, here we go. Who drew swastikas on the door? And he proceeded to say, some boys have decided it was a good idea to dump 13 cartons of white milk all over the
Are they sure it was
bathroom.
milk? Are they sure it was milk?
Yes. They were sure it was milk. At least that's what they told us. I would like to believe it was just milk.
I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school. God, there's a lot from the DC trip. So some kid named JJ stripped fucking butt-ass naked and tried to run towards the White House. He ended up only getting 2 weeks suspension. I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school.
One time, when I was on the high school stairs, I was a freshman, and I was on the high school staircase, because you know they have one just specifically for high school students.
For whatever reason.
And I was on that staircase, and from above me, I hear another student, most likely a senior, yell, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And I looked up, and he goes, "Yeah, you, shorty." And I was like, "Well, that's just a low blow, mister." And then he proceeded to ask me if I was a 7th grader.
Ouch.
But then after he got a good look at my face, he asked for my number. And I had to tell him, no, I'm a 7th grader. Also, why would you ask for my number if you thought I was a 7th grader? You're gross, get away from me.
I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school. Some kid was off like 2 Xanax when they were walking around the Pentagon on the DC trip. I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school.
One time, in my science class, we got to dissect a dead turtle. And, I cut out its heart and chased Mrs. Hildenberg with it.
Get her ass. I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school. Shit. Okay, last year, so freshman year, I heard a story from the 7th grade formal dance that some teacher had dumped something all over someone's new shoes that they had bought specifically for formal, and only when they got home did they finally take in the smell and realize that a teacher had dumped straight vodka on their shoes. I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school.
I once had another student stop me in the hallway and asked if they could take a picture of me holding a stuffed bear they had put in their backpack. This kid just pulled out a whole ass teddy bear from their backpack like it was some magic shit. And I was like, what do you need this for? He was like, art project. I have yet to see that picture. I don't think I ever will. And I think this kid might have had some weird fetish for goth girls and teddy bears. Because I'm pretty sure he just used it for spank material.
I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school. 2 years ago, 2 years ago, when I was in 8th grade, kids were really, like, before they had regular checks of the boys' bathroom, they would dip and throw it at the ceiling, and someone had managed to do it in the shape of a dick. And I saw pictures, so I know the shit was legit. I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school.
Speaking of dipping, a lot of the boys at my school dip, and, at one point, one kid was dared to put so much dip in his mouth that he ended up throwing up down the side of the staircase. It dropped like 3 levels.
I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school. A month ago, I was walking downstairs and walking out of the building to leave because, school had ended, and I was walking out a little late because I had to talk to a teacher, and I heard someone on the top floor scream bloody murder, and I heard this clattering all the way down the stairs, in the slats between the stairs. Mm-hmm. And after they had stopped screaming, I heard them yell, "That was my fucking phone!" I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school.
One girl that I knew, she was standing by you know how the gym has that, like...
The balcony.
Yeah. She was standing by at the edge of the balcony, and me and my friend were playing ping pong, like, not too far away from her, and she was, like, holding her phone like she was trying to take a picture of herself, and,
Did she drop the phone?
I hit the ping pong ball too hard, and it hit her phone, and it dropped to the ground from the balcony.
That's at least a 2-story drop, by the way.
Yeah, I hit a girl's phone with a ping pong ball, and it dropped, like, at least 2 stories down.
I went to public school, I went to public school, I went to public school.